Good afternoon, and I'd like to join Julius in welcoming you here and thanking you for agreeing to spend the afternoon learning about Acumen. Acumen has been doing this work for 17 years. It has had an unwavering focus on poverty. Our mission statement has been very clear: to change the way the world tackles poverty. And underneath that mission have been three things that we fundamentally believe, three strategies. The first, and probably the one most familiar to you in the room, is that we can invest in companies. We can find early-stage entrepreneurs who are designing products and services that will make a significant difference on the lives of the poor. Not all of them will succeed, but when they do succeed, they can actually impact millions. We've seen it happen in energy, providing energy to off-grid communities in rural Africa. We've seen it providing options, low-cost options in healthcare in India. We've seen it in providing affordable education to low-income communities. And we've seen it addressing some of the most challenging problems for smallholder farmers. And we've also understood and learned that one of the most important things when you invest in companies is to invest in character. And so we have a fellowship program that is training on moral leadership. We're teaching skills in that program for sure. We're reinforcing values, and probably most important, we are providing a community of support to fellows that are trying to change the systems that keep the poor where they are. Our fellows have founded social enterprises, not-for-profit company organizations, and are working in institutions, all grounded in Acumen's values and dedicated to Acumen's mission. And by working on the ground, by staying close to the poor, by listening, we are developing an incredible amount of knowledge, insights on what works, what doesn't work, where gaps are. And it is perhaps our greatest currency. This is the knowledge, the insights that we can use to spread to other players in this sector and beyond. The energy report that we just published is just one example of of our insights. So we have been pushing these three strategies through the years, growing them. And we are at a point in our growth where we're thinking about which ones to integrate, what we hold close, and what we set free. And that's the discussion we just had in these breakout sessions with some of you, that's what we are considering, that's what we're thinking about. And so we want to, today, we have two objectives. One is for those of you very familiar with us, we want to report on our progress. That's our commitment to you. And for those of you who are less familiar with Acumen, we want to give you enough of a sense of who we are, what we stand for, in hopes that we can continue the conversation of how you will join this community and support Acumen. We'll start by having Sachin Rudra, our Chief Investment Officer, talk to you about our Pioneer portfolio. This is the portfolio that we have built with philanthropic capital, which is where we started. That's capital that is patient, that takes risks, that uses investments as a means and not an end. It is a philanthropic model because the risks are too high, the time too long, and the support too great to be financially sustainable. It was designed to return 1 times the capital, with the costs of doing this work supported by donors, many of you in this room today. Any capital that comes back goes back into our portfolio work so that we can continue to innovate, creating these models and shepherding them to the point, de-risking them so that private capital will come in to scale them beyond. You'll hear from Ajita Shah, who's is a CEO of one of our investee companies, Frontier Markets, about the challenges of building this type of company. Frontier Markets has made 400,000 clean solar products accessible to the rural poor in India through a distribution system that the company has built. 3,000 entrepreneurs, 1,000 of them women. Because we think of investment from an impact lens, we have had to really develop a method through which we could evaluate it, we could measure it. And today we lead the field with our lean data approach. It is a cost-effective and efficient way to hear the customer's perspective and to measure lives impacted, jobs created, poverty level of the customer, and probably most important, the impact that particular product or service has had on their lives. You're going to hear from Tom Adams and Kat Harrison, who will give you a bit of the how of lean data and also show you the possibilities that this data gives us. The opportunity to create benchmarks, to understand where the impact is high, where it's low, not based on our assessment and our values, but based on the voice of the customer, which in our case is the poor. Listening to voices unheard is what our manifesto says, and that's what lean data does, just that. And it is not only helping us determine where the greatest impact of our dollar should go, what models the poor really respond to. It is catalyzing a movement in the sector. There's an increasing demand for multiple players in the sector to use this approach. Jacqueline will talk about, over the years, that there's a need for different types of capital. And frankly, the markets have changed so that we can access those types of capital. There will be a panel run by John Shepard where we will talk about our most recent vehicle that we are structuring to actually do our work in agriculture in sub-Saharan Africa. It is a structure that has a first loss layer because 10 years of investing in agriculture in East Africa has shown us the risks and the difficulty of actually promising a market financial return. So with this risk layer, we believe we can bring in private capital and actually have realistic financial return expectations. From there, we will turn to talk about the Fellows Program. Jacqueline will interview 2 fellows. And everybody, when they meet the fellows, are absolutely astounded. A donor recently said to me that the fellows were our secret weapon. But in truth, they're early in their journey. And just like our investments that are over a long period of time and require patience, we are on a long journey with our fellows. Jacqueline will then go on to talk about our plans to expand our fellows program from 400 today to 1,000 in 2020 in 15 different countries. So it is a packed agenda. We have tried to structure it so it can be interactive. You can ask questions, and I encourage you to do that. Many of you have been on this journey with us for a long time. All of your voices are important to us, so please don't hesitate to ask questions.